Did you like it? So it's been 11 hours playing.
Welcome, dear readers, to Cover My Ass, where baffling books are reviewed, but not read, by yours truly. It's called Khaki.
And I'm Kay, and remember, we only judge a book by its cover.
And we find ourselves once more amid the towering stacks of your library. And Kay, I have to once again apologize for the recent incidents. The freedom that you've afforded me with this library card, which has given me access to some of the exotic locations in your library that you've told me several times existed. I've just gotten overexcited. I was interested in the reflecting pool that you mentioned out by the conservatory, and that you said it was okay for swimming in, because I was curious what it would look like.
Not very deep, but
no, exactly what it would be like to go swimming with the Velibraraptor that I've befriended, Guinevere. I'm just catching everybody up on the unnecessary lore of a literary review podcast before we get in there. But so I'm sure that you've noticed the, let's call a spade, bloodbath. Now, you told me that there weren't any ducks anymore.
Yes.
So I was surprised that there were ducks, and Guinevere was delighted that there were ducks. And apparently our relationship has not progressed to the point where I can yell stop or please no. Or
well, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, in this place it's not always a duck. But keep going.
What if it tastes like a duck?
No, I wouldn't know about that. I've never tried tasting them before. But keep going. So Guinevere slaughtered one of them.
Oh no!
Oh,
not one of them. She did not. She did not stop. And then she did the. Do you remember how last week when I tried to get her to and her fellow Velibraraptors to reenact the Velociraptor scene from and do the sort of summoning bugle, like she did that as soon as she killed her first duck, she did that, and then all the
showed up.
I don't know if that herd is the proper, like, what's the collective noun for dinosaur? What would be the collective?
Well, it depends on the kind of thing. I mean, I would think it's like a herd of brontosauruses, but
they're Vegisaur. Lex Vegisaur. It's a little quote from Jurassic Park there for everyone to enjoy. So these are predators. I think, given what I've observed, I think an atrocity of Velibraraptors is appropriate.
Well, no, crows are
murders, and a skulk of foxes. I like that one.
A raft of otters.
Coalition of
cheetahs.
Cheetah, that's the one.
So what do you call two crows sitting together?
I don't know.
Attempted murder.
That's a good one. But yes, they do taste like duck. I've tasted duck before.
Yeah.
And it's been
hoisin sauce?
That was going to be my question to you. Obviously, I haven't found any natural hoisin spring yet.
Check the pantry in the...
Oh, my library card works for that.
Well, it gets you into the cafeteria. I mean, the pantry's behind the cafeteria. You should be able to get in there.
Okay. Well, yes. I will help myself to some of the...
I think there's hoisin sauce in the fridge.
To the hoisin sauce, and maybe that will cure my color blindness. Just to get some variation in my... Okay, well, one can hope.
Yes. There's spring onions growing on the... Well, I don't know if they survived the massacre, but like on the edge of the reflecting pool, there were some borders.
Oh,
there were little spring
I'll have
onions
to see.
there.
Yeah.
So you could probably have a little go at that.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah. I'll have a little cookout.
Yes, maybe make some pancakes, get yourself some nice Peking duck. Well, not Peking duck, library duck,
I have a significant supply, because while the Velibraraptors are fierce,
stick them in the freezer.
The freezer is already.
We won't go into the detail.
Okay, moving on.
Assuming that you want to keep enjoying them.
Yeah, a lot of people would be put off by information like that, but I've learned to just accept things at face value.
You'll fit right in. You're making a good job at it.
Speaking of fitting in, by the way, my attempts to ingratiate myself in among the Velibraraptors have been going quite well.
Very good.
Now that I've gathered more and more feathers, it is molting season, and applied them to myself. It's rather a cunning look, if I do say myself. But there, okay. And we find ourselves once more. Apparently, the Velibraraptors are a lot more impressed than you are. I can walk among their territories. Yeah. It turns out it's more the body language than the look. Like, as long as you do the sort of head bob, lead with your chest, arms out to the side.
Talk this way.
Walk like a Velibraraptor. Is that copyright violation?
That's why they have their wings out like that.
Yeah, it's really cool. So that's been going quite well. Guinevere has a habit of strutting in front of me. And when I change direction, she'll hurriedly glance behind her and then rush over,
doing the cat thing to make sure to always be walking in front of you and preferably underfoot.
I think it's more a duck thing, where in duck courtship, females follow males around, and males that are extremely interested in an otherwise uninterested female will try and consistently swim in front of her so that he appears to be leading her around.
Oh, okay.
And that's like, I think Guinevere wants everyone to think that I'm her boy toy.
Oh,
and,
that's good.
I just don't like.
I mean, she still cuddles up to you at night to leech your body warmth, doesn't she?
And possibly more than just warmth. I mean, I do still wake up with those puncture marks that you told me to be suspicious about. Yeah, quite a lot more. I mean, I don't feel like tired all the time or anything, but
Well, your eyes aren't jaundiced yet.
Anymore.
Your plate count, well, I don't know how to judge that from a distance, but, maybe...
Good. I wonder how that came up in conversation otherwise.
I mean, like your HB could be up or down, well, most likely down if you have lots of puncture marks. I don't think Velibraraptors are particularly vampiric, but it could be a new development.
Did they evolve often?
Well,
when left to your
often.
own...
What would you call long periods of nothing and then suddenly very fast.
I think it was Catcher in the Rye. Like, how did you go bankrupt? Well, two ways. Slowly at first and then abruptly.
Yes, well, it's pretty much like that with evolution as well.
Yeah, the cataclysmic theory.
It like happens a lot faster than you'd think, especially in the library.
Yeah, your library of many mysteries. And I remember one of the very first aspects of library geography that you warned me against was the Grimoire Cage.
Yes.
So I was very excited when you got this week's book out of the Grimoire Cage.
Yes, well.
So what do we have in store for our readers?
It's a bit of a special book today.
This week.
Yeah, it's quite unusual, I must say. It's written by Catherine Asaro and it's called The Ruby Dice.
It is a gigantic
Oh, yes. I don't know how much it weighs in at. Probably like somewhere between 75 to 100 pounds.
I just left it dangling on the crane that you used to lift it out of the
It's
cage.
It's a very useful to have it nearby because you're flipping a lot of back and forth in this book.
Yeah, because...
It's a bit of an unusual book in a way.
I was so excited.
It's a great book written in the tradition of Edward Packard in the Choose Your Adventure series.
Yes, a choose your own adventure book. I love these.
That's actually a trademark term by Bantam.
No way.
The general term is called game book.
Now that's going to be confusing.
It is.
Considering our interest in tabletop role-playing
absolutely,
games.
but yeah, that's like... The Choose Your Own Adventure is actually a trademark.
I'm very glad that we called our podcast Cover My Ass and not Cover Your Ass, because Choose Your Adventure and Cover Your Ass is the same acronym. So we're like, they're CYOA and we're CMA.
Yeah, well, CMA, Country Music, no wait, Country Music Award.
No, we play both kinds, country and western.
Yeah, oh god,
it was one of the best scenes in Blues Brothers.
Not by Bantam Books, this one, which is where the original series came from. They had a western one, and then science fiction became a very popular theme. And the whole concept was stolen by several other people.
Well, that's cool.
Yes, the first one started off as The Adventures of You.
Oh, that reminds me of some rather creepy episodes of Welcome to Night Vale, which are told in second person singular, which is
the hallmark of these adventure books, that they're always written in the second person.
Yeah.
That's the idea. You're reading about yourself.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at the cover. This seems to be the thing that we do.
Yes, and for our readers at home, if you look at your podcasting device, you should be seeing the cover of today's book, and otherwise look in the show notes for an image or a link. And this is one of the most straight up cover arts that we've had, because it's a dude in a chair looking at you.
Clearly the command chair on the bridge of the starship Malachite.
Arguably. I'll go with it.
Well, it's like, this seems to be the premise of the story, at least how it starts off. It's like,
well, this tells me which choices you made very early on during the extraordinarily elaborate character creation, by the way.
Yeah.
There's 500 individual entries where you could essentially, if you have brown eyes, flip to page 68. No wonder it's so huge.
It's like one of those JRPGs where it's like after 5-6 hours you're finally done creating your character and you can start with the beginning of the story.
Oh, I love that. I love having the option to just really dig in and just create a pretend anime child. So it is a Caucasian gentleman in what looks like aristocratic or it's fancy space garb. It's largely white with
it's more like a space suit actually, or maybe it's a military
and black leather. Yeah, but he's got
military uniform type thing. Yes,
it's cinched like a tunic coat or like a long coat, and it's got a stand up collar, and his chair is largely white as well.
It's got the little shoulder guard things which kind of like merge into the color.
And he's holding a fancy brocade hanky in one hand, and in the other hand...
I hadn't noticed that. That's not a hanky, that's a dice bag.
Yep. It's got little strings hanging from it. Yeah, that's his dice bag. And then in front of him are, well...
The tokens.
The tokens,
Yes, the famous ones.
He's looking straight at you.
Oh, yeah, it's like a Magic the Gathering player is like sitting there fondling his deck and going, I'm going to be playing this. Nothing you can do can make me change that. It's like asserting dominance by just oozing confidence, basically.
Yeah.
Yes, that's...
any card player likes to do that.
Yeah.
Or, traditional poker face.
Which is a little bit of a meta thing, because like that's not really the way the things go they're not on the starship, on the bridge of the starship at least.
Malachite, you mentioned.
The starship Malachite, yes.
Yeah. So for me, very early on, it became clear that this character was actually the Padishah Emperor Farino II, because I saw an option.
Yes.
I'm sure that this was a huge copyright violation, but there was essentially a knockoff of Dune in there, and you know how much I like Frank Herbert's Dune, so I was really interested in the adventures of House Atreides.
Well, he's clearly not a member of House Atreides.
No. This is Vladimir Farkonnen.
Yeah.
Which, now, we can sort of see what Catherine Asaro was kind of doing here to get around the copyright issue.
Yes.
I've got to say that Vladimir Farkonnen is actually cooler than Vladimir Harkonnen, or Harkonnen.
Yes.
Do we have a canonical way to pronounce it, by the way?
Harkonnen.
Harkonnen is in the video game, Dune 2. And I've heard Harkonnen in the Sci-Fi Channel miniseries in 2000.
Maybe they're Finnish, Harkonnen.
That's what I was thinking, Harkonnen. Or Harkonnen.
Harkonnen, yeah, it's double N, so it's like you don't have to like overdo it, but you do have to like do the little stop thing. Harkonnen.
Yeah, there's a difference between... I love that about Finnish, by the way.
Just
that they
pronounce every letter you see. Yes.
You just look at it, and if you know what the letter sounds like in Finnish, then you know what to do.
Once you know that the Y is pronounced U, it suddenly makes a whole lot more sense as well.
When it has because it can have a trademark, it can have two dots over it, so it's still a U.
You have the U, which is pronounced like the German U.
So not like the German U, which is like our U, but then you make your lips like an E.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. I'm not quite sure.
And what about the A umlaut then? Because you've got a word like hyvä, and thus ends my knowledge of Finnish.
It's interesting that you got to these options because they never appeared when I went through the selection process. So you must have like selected something somewhere which looks innocuous but opens a completely different tree to the.
I guess
in the book to
it might have been in the character creator, because I went for a young woman with dark skin and blue eyes in my cosmetic appearances, and then there were several questions like what color eyes, or various shades, and I was like blue all the way through.
Yes.
So maybe that unlocked my access to the Fremen.
Oh god, the copyright the infringement here is like heavy on this one.
She just made sure she added 3 Fs to the Fremen. So tell me about yours.
I obviously went with the scenes that led me to the starship Malachite on its run to Dead Star City.
Ooh. Oh, that sounds cool. I kind of wish I'd done that one now.
Well, it's like I've got the impression that certain sections are written in such a way that they can be used in more than one story. It's like several scenes which are like completely devoid of any references other than your companion, which is like
I thought that was so cool.
Yeah,
it sort of felt like I was intersecting with other universes.
Well, my companion was Obsidian, the ship's cat, which was like
that's neat.
It seems to be implied that it's like not much bigger than a house cat or a serval. Then in some of those scenes where your companion is like only referred to as a companion, there seems to be like things suggesting that it might be much bigger. Some of the combat scenes when it's like your companion jumps on top of the Thrathal's neck and
that one
bites down, and it's just like okay, and that doesn't sound like something that like a serval-sized house cat would do, but yeah, whatever. It's
maybe it's like Ruraf from
did you encounter the Thrathral?
No, I did encounter the Minotaur in the middle of the maze, which I was kind of surprised by. Not traditionally part of the Dune narrative.
Was it the Sandworm maze or anything like that?
No, there was that place, Jakurutu, which was sort of maze-like, but no, that was another power word. Wow, we're getting really deep into Jakurutu.
That sounds like something they stole from the Lost Star Wars, except it wasn't like the Lost Star Wars didn't exist back then.
That's not how time works.
No.
Actually, what was the encounter with the Harathar like?
I turned to page 794 and stumbled into the lair of the Hathrar, and
in an underground environment.
I'd gotten to Dead Star City, and after I'd made my choices of where
for
to
me,
go.
it was Space Knossos,
Yeah,
also known as Arakeen. Yeah,
explore the
Farakeen,
go to a bar, explore the city and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The park had a storm drain thing, which was lacking any balloons, but I thought I'd go in there as well. Anyway.
Oh, I know that there's a word for a fear of clowns, and it's something that I deeply enjoy. So, okay, cool. Let's go down this.
I thought it was puppets.
Where they float. I do indeed have a thank you for revealing that on the air. I do have a crippling fear of marionettes that extends to clowns, which are similarly painted. So let's descend into this storm drain where everyone floats, and tell me what.
Well, the Hrathar was there, and it's like it turned into a combat situation because apparently my attempts to placate it weren't successful because I didn't
fell on deaf ears.
Well, I rolled my ruby dice and I rolled a 7, and that was apparently not a good thing to roll.
Right. Oh, yes, because the book did indeed come with a quite a large selection of actual ruby dice.
Yes, it comes with the ruby dice, it comes with obsidian tokens.
Oh, yeah.
And it's even got a few sapphire pawns in it. And it's only when you get to the special session. Did you get there?
I don't know. I got to something that I thought was rather special, but maybe it's not the same as yours. So let's talk about yours.
Well, if you make it to the right section of the book, and you play your cards right, although there's no cards involved, you can even get the pearl necklace.
So you got a nice pearl necklace when you read this book, did you?
The dice were not kind to me, but I think the pearl necklace was more like taken away from me than it was given to me.
And you just flipped the cover and it just jumped out at you. It just splashed you in the face.
No, that reservoir of the book has been depleted for a long time. Look, even when I acquired it, that was already drained.
Yeah, you only get so many uses out of
it's
out of
just
a
a little
grimoire
bit
like that.
like if you slam the book shut hard, you get a little dust coming out of it, but that's about it.
It gets the job done as well. So, okay, that doesn't sound like what I encountered, because fairly deep into the story, I was really enjoying Dune. I like the Dune saga, even when it got weirder, even under Frank Herbert's reign.
Right.
But so there was a point where, in order to explore the Golden Path, I had the option to accept prescience. The way that Catherine Asaro used this in her Choose Your Own Adventure. Oh no, what's it called? A game book.
Yes.
She presented this option in a very cunning fashion. So you could choose prescience, in which case you were allowed to flip to such and such a page and then flip back and then continue.
Oh.
But then the rule was, when you came back afterward, I could only choose options that would take me to pages that were in the Fibonacci sequence or that were sums of powers of 2.
Okay.
So if I have the option between going to page 15 and 11, then I'd have to go to 11 because that's the Fibonacci sequence.
And 15 is not.
And 15 is not. But if I had the choice between like going to 15 or 384, then I'd have to go 384 because that was 256 plus 128.
I see.
And that's a sum of 2 powers of 2.
Yeah.
There was a fun bit of calculation.
You have to do that every time?
Yes.
You're only limited to those choices.
Until I arrive at that future that I saw, which I thought was a kind of a cool. I mean, it's part of the Dune metaphysics.
Yes.
That someone seeing the future also enforces that future, or that there is a question that can happen. In this case, it was by a breeding program for people who had genetic immunity, genetic invisibility to prescience.
So like they never show up on the.
They just can't be seen.
Oh, interesting.
And to make that a common gene for humans.
Mr. Herbert did a lot of things with like genetic training and all those exercises they do, which are just not meant
at the Bene Gesserit.
Yeah, the Bene Gesserit are like the forerunners of that, where they'd like do all these exercises which are supposed to not necessarily benefit themselves, but benefit their offspring and like genetic,
very long-term
generational exercising.
It's a very good series of books that we have enjoyed a lot, and I don't think ever referenced before on this show. This is probably the very first time that it's.
Yes,
that was irony. I know that I've referenced it a lot.
So what happened when you got to the?
Well, I got to a different section. So I went through this. I was essentially playing Dune from the sort of perspective of Cheney.
Cheney was her sister, right?
No, Cheney is the Fremen woman that Paul Atreides falls in love with.
Oh yes.
But I sort of had her as the heir to the House of Atreides.
Even though she's Fremen.
Fremen, yes, exactly. So Cheney had this prescience, and so I obeyed the penalty, and I was thrilled by the fact that I got stuck in a time loop.
Ah, yes, that's another classic thing that these books do sometimes.
Yeah, Yeah, because they can just send me back to the same pages over and over.
Yep.
And because I'm stuck with that formula of choices that I can make, sometimes I have a choice between 2 pages that are powers of 2. Okay, that's cool. Or one of
Now
them
you actually have a choice, yeah.
Yeah, and then I actually have a choice, but then which one gets me out of the time loop? It was so exciting.
Well, if you've been through it once and you come back, then you know what that choice is going to lead you to, and you can take the other one.
I thought so, but so initially it was straight up Dune, and it was the Battle of Arrakis, and the Fardaukar from the Fadishah Emperor had arrived, and they were using phone burners.
U.S. Vladimir.
And so that's when the time loop started. Then I found myself back early on with Funk and Idaho, practicing with the knives because the flow blade penetrates the field. Everyone had a weird lisp in this book. I don't know. But then I managed to make a different choice there, and that took me to the Minotaur scene on Space Knossos, which I thought was kind of like, I don't remember
How did
House
this happen?
Minos in
there's like many houses which were not mentioned in one of the books themselves.
But yeah, it took me ages. Like I defeated the Minotaur, and then I found myself back in Farakeen battling for, and it was just I went through all of these side adventures that kept leading me back to the same outcome. That was the Prescience Trap.
Back in the city, yes.
Back in the city.
I guess this is a case of the only way to win is not to play.
How did that turn out for you?
Well, like I said, I didn't get stuck in the time loop. My storyline was much more straightforward. After I got my companion, Obsidian, and made it to Dead Star City, I must have taken a weird turn in the book somewhere because suddenly my antagonist was Pyrite the Dragon.
That sounds fierce.
Well, he's a bit of a sword. You know, you've got copper dragons and bronze dragons and like amethyst dragons, and then you had Pyrite the Dragon.
Oh.
Who was a bit of a sore guy. He was like...
What are the properties of Pyrite then? I'm not familiar with it.
The other name that it's known by is Fool's Gold.
Oh.
So he was a bit of a... other dragons didn't take him particularly seriously, and he was just like... So he was a bit of one of those like disgruntled antagonists who like have a bone to pick with the rest of the world.
Yeah, born and also ran.
Yes, and are also not particularly eager to indulge people in their whimsies and like...
Now, I notice a little pattern here, because malachite, that sounds like a mineral as well.
Yes.
Starship malachite.
Yes.
Like, what are the properties of malachite?
Oh, it's just a semi-precious stone.
It's just a semi-precious stone.
Oh, I don't know if it has any particular properties.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like, just like the ruby dice, it's like ruby.
And
ruby is a precious stone, yes.
Sapphire's precious. Obsidian, is obsidian even a mineral, though? Isn't obsidian like...
No, but it's considered a gemstone. It's just volcanic glass.
Volcanic glass, yeah.
Yes. The distinction between gems and precious gems is arbitrary. Topaz was considered a precious gem at some point until they've discovered a massive reservoir of those things in Brazil, and then it was just like, it's not precious anymore.
That's going to happen with jade as well, considering its popularity.
Well, jade still has many different grades, and lots of jade these days is infused with resin and
just green glass is just as good. I mean, it's just as pretty.
Pretty much. There's actually tests in Hong Kong all over the place. There's test facilities where you can like have your jade taken to, and they'll run a test on it, and they'll check it for resin, and if it's like being resinated or not.
It's like music festivals where you can have your tablets of ecstasy or whatever tested.
Yes, absolutely.
For contaminants. Like, that's a service that Christian organizations here offer.
Oh, they go and see if
at clubs or whatever. Where you...
Oh, okay. I thought this is like when you go to church. If it's actually the blood of Jesus.
It's in order like a policy of harm reduction, like being.
Have you ever seen those single-serving Jesus cups?
Bullshit.
No, it's great.
What?
It's like a little plastic thing, and it's got like a mouthful of grape juice or wine. You can buy them, and it's got a little tab. They have those like pull tabs which you open up, just like those single-use.
Blood of Christ.
Yeah, no. Well, it's just like single-use contact lenses. Like it's exactly the same thing. It's like a plastic cup. It's got a little sachet. Yeah, it's got a little cracker. Convenient. It's got a little cracker thing, and it's like single-serving Jesus pre-packaged.
But has it already been what's it called? Transmutated?
That's a Catholic one. Christables. That's what they were called.
Bullshit. There is no such thing. That is not true, is it?
I'm not sure if the manufacturers call them that, but that's what they are referred to. Something.
I mean, if it is real, I've got to say, I kind of like it. Like,
And they kind of have to, they have
because
to,
it's
like,
hygienic.
and that's part of the thing. It's like, you don't have to, like, the whole cup pass on, wipe it off, pass it on to the next person, hygienic and individualized, and they still have to be put on the altar.
Yeah.
So
they're still.
I don't think they come.
No, not transmutation. Transubstantiation.
Yeah, but they don't come pre-blessed now.
No,
it's
transmutation is a school of wizardry, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, correct. It's the one that deals with transforming one thing into the other.
Yeah, sort of like alchemy. So, I mean, did your tokens come to life?
Well, not to life. There was a little bit of movement, and especially the obsidian tokens habit of wandering off on their own. It's like when you try
you had a companion named Obsidian.
Yeah. No. The ship's cat was also called Obsidian.
No, I'm paying attention to the book that you read.
No, so well, it's the thing is they won't let you cheat. Like you have like tokens to keep track of your health and stuff like that.
Yep.
And if the book says like, oh, remove a token, and you go like, no, I'm not going to do it, then it kind of wiggles off on its own.
Yep. It gets out of there, and if you try to remove a token that you're not supposed to, like they bite pretty hard.
Oh yeah. That's like they zap you and they bite you. And Obsidian can be very sharp. Maybe that's why you have a few extra cuts and stuff on you, or do you think that's actually beneficial?
Oh, there haven't been more of those issues since I started reading the book, which admittedly has been like a few days. But like they'd have to be escaping your Grimoire Cage every day, because that's where this book and the tokens spend most of their time to be predating me.
I didn't think that it was what they'd been doing all along.
No, exactly.
I was just wondering if there was any extra one.
Oh well, I mean, there's so many. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to tell. Like the number has been increasing since I've been
in the middle of the flock.
Yeah,
or the herd, or whatever.
I've been nesting with the atrocity of Velibraraptors, which hardly recommend it. It's really quite comfortable.
Well, it's soft and feathery. If you don't mind the occasional bloodletting, then it's...
which all evidence seems to point to it. I'm not unaware of that, but I'm still inclined
just make sure to eat enough liver pate to keep up your red blood cell.
Oh yeah. When we go hunting for 45 caliber bookworms, they just want the lead cores, the Velibraraptors, and they leave the rest to me. So plenty of bookworm liver bolsters.
Yep. I had a bit of a problem towards the end of the story. I must have done something wrong, because I got like stuck in the dumps and ran into I got basically run aground, and for poor Obsidian got killed by one of the pirates minions.
You got strangled with a pearl necklace?
No. Fortunately, I ran into a character called Carrie Mulligan, who allowed me to go back to an earlier point in the story and undo my...
You did it! There once was a lass named Carrie Mulligan. She had let's go there. Oh well, so it's not quite a time loop, but you had a time jump as well.
Well,
what did you go and fix?
I went back to where I thought that I went wrong during the fight, basically at the point where it turned wrong for me, and part of that was the ruby dice. I think they're not entirely fair dice. They seem to be, I wouldn't say weighted or loaded. I think they interact with the book, and like it kind of steers you into the direction that. So I went back to a point earlier in the fight, and I managed to turn it around with the help of Carrie Mulligan, who was now...
she was in your party now?
Well, yeah, she was fighting alongside with me, and it's... so I managed to pull off the daring end. I think I got the medium to okay ending of the book. It's like, more or less satisfactory resolve of the crisis, which was happening in Dead Star City. Pirate defeated, and...
yes, there was a pirate.
No, Pyrite. Sorry.
That's right.
Pirate the Pyrite. Dragon.
I got excited there for a second.
Dragon Pyrite.
Like a dragon pirate is a bomb-ass thing to be.
I suppose so.
I managed to make it out of my time loop as well, where I realized that what I'd been doing all along was not so much Dune as it was the Da Vinci Code. And because I'd been keeping track of everywhere I'd been, I managed to puzzle out the mathematical formula that was being spelled out, transpose that into musical note, play that on an ocarina.
Where did you find an ocarina?
You can carve one from duckbill. Oh. Like a duckbill is actually pretty close to an ocarina already.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, right.
You just have to hold the left nostril, right nostril, and you blow.
Yeah, and the eye holes, and you tape down the skull, and you've got yourself a cool little ocarina.
Oh, that's amazing.
Well, I mean, that's something that the Minotaur taught me once I went sort of the way. That was the thing. I was never meant to fight the Minotaur. So maybe like you would have had did you have a romance option with your Harathar?
No.
Because I went full like Queen Pacific and had myself a
Did you get
good
into the
time.
steamy section?
Oh yeah. That was good. Minotaur's a hunky kind of.
Oh yeah, down to the knees.
Yeah. What?
Never mind.
So what did I say? Oh yes. that worked out.
Fibonacci, you went to like Da Vinci Code. Yes.
No, I think I said that I think I resolved how the book ended satisfactorily for.
I'm
for
sure
both of us
that
and for the
everybody
readers
was
as well.
very much satisfied.
Yeah,
yes.
definitely.
Yeah, so like I said, you enjoyed this book.
I loved it. I'm actually, now that I've heard about your experience, I'm kind of keen to read it again.
No, you can always try. You have to go through the character creation section again. And
Well, not to mention all the security facilities that are required to enter the Grimoire Cage. But
right. Well, your library card should let you in there as long as you like.
that almost feels like cheating. Like I'm very good at rappelling now, and I've got the network of ladders across the. I kind of want to sneak in like a jewel thief
into the Grimoire Cage
where the ruby dice are. I mean, I didn't keep the ruby dice.
It's nice to keep them with the book, so that
No, that's where I put them. I put them back in the drawers of the book.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's like okay, yeah.
And then rubbed its tummy.
Trying to go into the cage. Okay. How would you like me to take care of Guinevere if anything should happen to you? It's like
she has her family. She's
okay,
fine.
she'll be fine with the atrocity.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
She'll just stay with the atrocity.
All right.
What a weird thing to say.
Okay.
Well, thank you for that vote of confidence. Okay.
I'm just saying. Do you prefer burial or cremation?
Just feed me to the Velibraraptors.
Okay.
I know it's messy. Yeah, I kind of
just like hurt them out
by the reflecting pond.
Okay. It's kind of like a sky burial, except like with the Velibraraptors rather than vultures.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm sure they'll have no problem.
Keep that in mind.
Okay. How are we going to rate this book with this great energy between us? Like, what scale are we going to use? Because we have the powers of 2. We have the Fibonacci sequence.
Are we going to turn to page 418, or are we going to turn to page 712?
712 is not a power.
No, it's 418, so...
You get there with powers of 2 equal 2, and then 84, and then from there, unless you do 16, 8, 24, and then 4 and 2. Yeah, you can do it with unique powers of 2.
Okay, well, good then. 418 it is.
Oh, was it 18? Then no.
Oh.
Well, that's not the one then. Then the other one.
728.
28 now? I thought it was 2.
Cheat a little bit. I mean, I've got
640?
Carrie Mulligan in my party, so if you don't like it, you can know.
Let's ask Carrie. Okay, 728 out of
all of the pages
in the book. Well, that's rather a good review.
There we go.
I almost wish that we could rate it higher because I really enjoyed reading this book so much.
Read it again and let's see where we can go. It was
so much fun. Yeah, well, that's an idea. I'm sure the readers at home would love to hear us just read this book again.
Let's go for it, and we can have a completely different book to review because that's the nature of game books.
Yeah, so I guess I don't need to ask you what we have in store for our readers next week.
Well, it's not going to be the ruby dice.
Hold on. Speaking of reviews, by the way, dear reader, we love being your dirty little secret, but if you mention Cover My Ass to a friend or leave a nice rating or review on your favorite podcasting app, something magical might happen, like a cricket guessing your star sign and getting pretty dang close for a cricket. So what do you have in store for our readers next time?
Next week's book is the famous kink positive book by J. James.
Ooh.
Truth, Dare, or Handcuffs, or Three-Way.
Another Choose Your Own Adventure!
Well, not really, but it's...
And that about covers it. Thank you for joining us. Cover My Ass, where baffling books are reviewed, but not read by yours truly. My name is Khaki.
And I'm Kay, and remember, we only judge a book by its cover.
No, I'm serious. I kind of want to read this book again. But this other one, which option do you... What's the character creator like?
It's not a game book. It's just an actual...
Why not? It's such a Truth, Dare,
or Handcuffs, or Three-Way.